Well, New York City officials say too many cars parked on the roof deck of a parking garage may be the cause of the fatal collapse. We brought this to you as breaking news yesterday on Rush Hour. We know one person died. The nearly 100-year-old building now has been deemed unstable. It will have to be demolished. James Ford from our New York City station is at the scene, joins us live. James, there is a history of violations at that building.
Yes, there are. And in fact, the demolition that you referred to is going on now. You can take a look back there. You can see there's a big gap in the line of buildings here on Ann Street in Lower Manhattan in New York City. That's where the demolition is happening. Also, one person perished. The body is being removed very meticulously right now as questions continue to swirl about the building violations that had been in place here. It started with the walls of this parking garage being torn down. Then the heavy equipment on scene had to lift the cars out of the century-old structure and place them on the street, where bulldozers removed them. It's among the latest developments at this scene, where one man was killed and 6 other people injured, when some of the 4 floors of the structure started falling in on each other, sending cars tumbling with them.
When they started to leave, yes, it was because there was big noise.
Alessi Hernandez is the manager of a parking garage adjacent to the one that collapsed, and he personally knows the man who was killed in the collapse. The man, Hernandez says, was in his office around 4 p.m. on Tuesday with other workers when tragedy struck.
The main area that the floor on the second floor came into was the office where the manager had his work desk. And at the same time, one of the supervisors that was pulled out on a stretcher was also there, but he was been able to be removed from the building.
That building, which was constructed around 1920 to house horses and buggies, has 4 open building code violations, 2 of which date back 2 decades, and 3 of which involve concrete in the building being compromised in some way. One of the violations from 20 years ago is for ceiling cracks and defective concrete on one of the lower floors. That case is still open, according to the Department of Buildings, and the property owner, Ann Street LLC, paid a fine. We tried in various ways to reach the owner of the collapsed garage, but were not able to contact them about the unresolved structural issues. Now, the structure is on course to being demolished.
We're moving debris from that top level there so that if we go in and retrieve the body, nothing will fall on them. So we're trying to go very slowly to make it as safe as possible to remove that poor person that's still in there.
And at the scene live right now, you can see that the cranes that are here are not doing anything currently, and that's because below them is where the extraction of this body is taking place. I can also tell you late this afternoon, the city updated its information and indicated that some further inspections were done on this location, including 10 years ago, that showed that some of those repairs that had been required had been done, but paperwork had not been properly filed or not filed at all. What is clear is the city is very much in contact with the owner of the building, and that this investigation is very much still open. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, I'm James Ford. Nichole?
Yeah, that investigation far from over. James, thank you. Well, technology was a huge part of the rescue operation here. The NYPD's controversial decision to bring back the DigiDog may now be seen in a new light because it's already been put into action. The scene yesterday so precarious and so dangerous, it was deemed unsafe for rescue crews. So as you can see right there on your screen, officials turned to AI, artificial intelligence, to look for victims who may have been trapped. Let's bring in now Mark Claxton. He is a retired NYPD detective, current director of public relations for the Black Law Enforcement Alliance. Mark, thank you so much for your time. So the chief of fire operations in New York said this was the first time first responders have been able to fly inside a collapse, get that crucial information without having to risk lives, by sending in police or firefighters. How big of a deal is this for the future of responses to these types of tragedies?
It's a huge deal for improving the level of confidence that the civilian population would have in the use of technology such as the DigiDog or even the surveillance robots or the drone technology quite clearly. And I think the parking garage collapse is a clear example of how you can effectively and appropriately use technology to provide as safe a space as possible, and you don't risk human life when you're trying to conduct operations inside of these unstable surfaces.
So, Mark, we're talking right now about the pros, but there are certainly cons, and we want to make sure that we highlight those as well. As you know, there are a lot of concerns about these, robot dogs and drones, other high-tech tools police now are able to use because, there are concerns about privacy, lots of different concerns here. In your eyes, do the benefits outweigh the risks when it comes to this type of technology?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. We can no longer exist in this century without taking full advantage of technology that's available, especially technology that supports the primary function and mission of law enforcement, of policing, and that's protecting and preserving human life. I think the questions and the concerns are legitimate, and there have to be quite some clear processes and procedures in place that protect and constitutional concerns that people may have, whether they be Fourth Amendment concerns or surveillance concerns related to the Fourth Amendment. I think those are appropriate questions that people may have, but I think once you see these things in operation, people start to gain confidence and realize that they're not necessarily in place to target innocent people, but to use this in place of putting human life at risk.
Well, it's certainly, as we take a look at this video, certainly very obvious why this type of technology is useful. Do you think we'll see more departments across America start to use this type of technology?
Absolutely. I think the NYPD is well known and well positioned to lead in as far as introduction of these type of technologies are concerned. So, and it's just a no-brainer. And there are other technologies that are being used in departments across the nation. So yeah, you'll see increased technology, especially with the AI now being so prominent in enforcement and surveillance methods.
All right. Mark Claxton, always great speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nichole.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.